Welcome to the Healthy and Wealthy and Wise podcast with global sales trainer and professional speaker, Lois Kofi. Each week, it is her goal to share inspiration and education for you to be, do, have the best health and wealth and wisdom for your life.
Well, hello, everyone. Happy Friday to those of you tuning in to Healthy and Wealthy and Wise this Friday on the live show. I'm Lois Kofi. I'm a professional speaker, podcaster, and sales trainer, passionate about bringing you guests week after week that are going to help you improve your health, improve your wealth, and of course, your wisdom in navigating this new normal. If you haven't been attending, you might not know this, but this is our first week doing the live show at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So I'm super excited to get this stuff to you earlier on a Friday so you can go into your weekend inspired. And if you're tuning in live, feel free to hit hashtag live and where you're tuning in from. And of course, this will be in my YouTube channel and on iTunes by Monday. So you can come back and listen to it again and again and again. And I'm super excited. I have an amazing guest here today that's really going to, I think, hit the wealth factor and the wisdom factor. I just met Steve, was it 2 months ago when our friend Chris Knight, who's also a lead generation expert, connected us. You're like my brother from another mother. You've helped thousands of salespeople worldwide improve their sales skills, and you've done coaching and online training and products. I get all of your amazing emails. You're phenomenal at email campaigns. But today, we're not going to so much talk about sales. We called the title of our show today, guys, Second Act Success. And I'm really excited about this topic because I've never had anybody on the show yet talk about exactly what you're going to talk about today, Steve. So I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in. I'd love to turn it over to you. I'd love to have you share with us your story and what the heck does Second Act Success mean?
Hey, Lois. First of all, can I start by telling you how excited I am to be here? And I love what you're doing with your podcast. I know you switch times, but you're doing such a phenomenal job and juggling so much and, you know, this busy life that we all lead. But you yourself are demonstrating what I call second act success. And I absolutely love it. So congrats to you. Congrats to the success of your podcast and your community. And you're a role model for all of us to show what this is like. You know, as we record this, right, and I know this recording is going to live on forever, so people are going to watch us years from now, and they're not going to realize what we've been going through for the past 10 months. But we're here we're still in some elements of this quarantine of 2020, this lockdown. We're still not totally open, even though we've been doing this for 10 months. And during this time, there's been a word that has been so overused that we hear it time and time and time again, and we call it pivot, right? We call it the pivot, because if there's anything that we've learned this year is that things can change like that. Mm-hmm. And so people have talked about this concept of the pivot. Well, I'm not new to that. Okay. And that's what second act success is all about. Thing is, I've been talking about this concept of second act success for the better part of a decade or more, because it's my story like everybody else. I spent roughly 30 years in the corporate world. And one day, I should say that entire time that I was working real hard for this paycheck and these benefits and everybody had me believing that this was security to have a paycheck and have these insurance benefits. And I dreamt all the time of the day that I could walk into my boss's office and say, see ya, I'm out of here, right? And that I could go into business with my wife and we could work together. And I always dreamt of that day. The problem was they got to do it to me before I got to do it to them.
You couldn't do the song, Take Your Job and do something with it.
I wanted to. I dreamt of it for 30 years, right? I kept putting it off. Then one day I come to work and guess what they say to me? Hey, you're fired. Yeah, exactly. They were nice about it. I was actually laid off, and I'm still waiting for them to call me back, 12 years later. But, so I sit by the phone every day waiting for it to ring.
I don't believe you.
You don't believe me? That's good. So right then and there, I had to do this thing that we now call pivot, and I had to reinvent myself. And I started on this journey. And frankly, I made a lot of mistakes. I did it because I had to figure it all out for myself. I mean, I did try to follow people, and I did hire some coaches, and they certainly helped me along the way. But I also made a lot of mistakes along the way. But since that time, I want to tell you, fast forward to where I am today, and it didn't take me 12 years. I mean, I had things going literally the day I got fired. I got my first 2 clients. So I mean, we started rebuilding right then and there. But fast forward till today, and we talk about security, and guess what? I've never had more security in my life, much more than I ever had with a paycheck and insurance benefits and stuff like that. It's so much better to be in control. And that's what I've learned. So much more security when I can control things. And instead of getting paid once a week and getting, so what's that, 52 paychecks a year, now I have my own business and I get paid multiple times every single day, and it's talking about security. When I lost one paycheck, that was, 2% of my income, and the next week was another 2%. And, it adds up pretty quick. That doesn't happen now when you're in your own business. So that's why I'm very, very passionate about helping people set up their own second act success. And I think it's even more important as we go forward. And that's it. It's near and dear to me, and I just love helping people figure that out for themselves.
I love that. And I have to ask you because you're 12 years removed, right? You said it was 12 years ago.
Yeah, going on 12 years, maybe 11. I lose track of time.
Right. And time flies when you're having fun and making that inbox money every day. So I'm so excited. However, we all grew up with this idea: go to school, go to college, get in debt, get a job, which we've heard stands for just over broke. And I'm not playing down on jobs. I'm just up on this opportunity of second act success that you're sharing. And how did you go from that mindset of steady paycheck mindset, right, to entrepreneurial mindset? Because I've seen a lot of people that's so terrifying, even though I believe that's truly the American dream, not the other way around.
Well, you're so right. Because the other thing was ingrained in us for so long, it was terrifying. But I did go, as I said, that day that I got fired, I literally got my first 2 clients that day.
Wow.
And by the way, they gave me checks that totaled more than I made from a paycheck. So all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a second, maybe I can make this work. All right. And so I'm not going to tell you it was all rosy from day one. It was not. That got me over the hump. That gave me a little more confidence. But don't feel that if you don't, just don't feel like that can't happen for you just because of maybe you don't get a client your first day or whatever. I mean, there is some building up to it. Okay. But it was certainly a transition. There's no doubt. And that's exactly why I want to help people make that transition.
That's awesome. If someone comes out of their job and they have this dream of starting a new business and they don't have influence, they don't have an email list like you and I both have email lists, where do they start? Can you maybe paint a picture or a roadmap on what that looks like?
Sure. Okay. So I've got a product and I call it the Legacy Way. And this is also something that I teach my students who refer to me as a second act success coach. Okay. So what I tell them is a couple of things. First of all, we live in incredible times that allow us to do something that we've never been able to do in the world. In the history of time. And literally we could reach people all over the world. I think you're in California, correct?
Correct. Yes.
All right. And I'm in Texas. And undoubtedly there's people watching us right now and will watch this replay from all over the world. I've got people that have bought my courses from 152 different countries.
Wow.
And that's not because I'm so good. That just shows you the opportunity we have right now. Okay, so what are they getting from me? Okay, I teach them sales, and I teach them my concept of flawless follow-up, and I teach them second act success, and I teach them how to excel on LinkedIn. These are all things that I teach them, but what they really want is a relationship with me. Mm-hmm. Okay, and likewise, people listening to your show right now, they really want Lois in their life. And for everybody watching, there are people out there that want you in their life. They want to hear your story. They want to hear what you have. And what I teach people is don't overcomplicate this. You don't have to figure out the perfect item to sell, because all you really need to do is share what you already know. I call it your passion, your experience, and your talent. PET is the acronym. Passion, experience, and talent. That's all I share. I share my stories. I love to entertain. I love to tell stories. I happen to teach by telling stories. I also happen to sell by telling stories. All right. So I love to tell stories. And that keeps people love stories. So they're engaged with me and they want to hear more from me. And yes, they buy from me. I hate this concept when I hear all these people that are teaching you to go out and find the perfect undiscovered niche. All right. The absolute best niche in the world that everybody's going to hand you money, hand over fist, and nobody else has discovered yet. You know what that niche is, right, Lois? It doesn't exist.
Right. I was going to say it's just whatever your passion is, because you gotta just lead with your heart and lead with your passion.
That's it. Okay. Make it about yourself, because you know what? That's real. That's authentic. I know so much about you. You know, healthy, wealthy, and wise, and it's a wonderful, wonderful subject to base your whole podcast on. And you live that, right? I know you're an athlete, right? A triathlete.
I've been known to do a few races a time or two.
Excellent. Okay. And you're a mom, right? And so, this is what endears you to all of us. And we all have our stories. My story resonates with folks that follow me, and everybody that's watching us. I guarantee you, okay, if just because you've been breathing oxygen for all this time, you've got experience, you have talent, even if you don't give yourself credit for it. And I'm sure you're passionate about something. Passion, experience, and talent. That's
awesome. I do have a question for you, because I know this all too well, because I've had network marketing teams. I still, do get paid from network marketing companies. Now I'm leading with Lois. You could say this is like my third act success. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just making that up on the fly to be funny. But anyway, there's a lot of people, they want to quit their job, but they can't, or they haven't been fired yet. I've been fired from a job. You've been fired from a job. Best day of our lives, right? However, there's that security blanket, right, in that paycheck, and totally, I've been there. My husband and I, we've had that. And let's say they start their passion or their second act part-time. Do you have any coaching around that until, they want to make their plan B their plan A, and then they can say, take this job and you know what?
Well, in an ideal world, that would be awesome. All right. If you could do that, we call that a side hustle. That's something else we're hearing a lot more. And I would say, if you've got a job, I would say absolutely positively start that side hustle. I am not saying walk in and tell your boss, take this job and okay. I'm not saying that. All right. But it's sure going to feel a lot better if and when the day comes, and it will come, folks. It will come. If and when that day comes, it's sure going to feel a lot better. And you say, well, okay, we got to make an adjustment. All right. But at least something's flowing in already. And I will tell you this, every time that I've gotten fired, every time that, I used to have a lot more clients. I don't take on a lot of personal clients anymore because, well, frankly, it's not scalable. I'm into scaling. I'm into leverage. I like having tens of thousands of people that buy my products and follow me from 152 different countries. That's called scaling. Okay. And that's what I say. We live in unbelievable times that we can do that right now. All right. So, but that's why I don't have a lot of clients. But in the old days, I used to have clients. Some of them might pay me $3,000 a month or $5,000 a month. And you know what? It really wasn't any different than having a job. I mean, my name might have been over the door, but I was still at these people's beck and call. Okay. You can only take so many clients at $3,000 or $5,000 a month. Okay. Yeah. You can only have so many of them. And guess what? Let's say you've got 10 of them. All right. If you're lucky enough to have 10 of them, one of them tells you, you're fired. Well, you just lost 10% of your income.
It's a job gone. Yeah, for sure.
So what do you now have to do? You got to go out and replace that person. And the other thing about coaching and consulting, it's It's planned obsolescence. Okay. If you're a coach, if you're a consultant, guess what? You're going to get fired. And here's why. Only one of two things is going to happen. If you're a great coach, if you're a great consultant, you're going to fix whatever problem your client has. And then they're going to say, wow, you've done a great job. Here's a pat on the back. Thank you very much. We don't need you anymore. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't fix their problem, what are they going to do? They're going to fire you. So coaching and consulting doesn't last forever. And this is exactly why I named my course The Legacy Way. Because when you take your passion, your experience, and your talent, and you create products that you can sell, and you can sell them anywhere. You could sell them online. You could sell them on Amazon. You could sell them on Udemy. You could sell anywhere you want, right? It really is a legacy. I even tell a story in a webinar that I give on this subject. I even tell a story about the man I learned this from. And he passed away. Tragically, he passed away at an early age. But guess what? His family continued to make money. He created this legacy because his products still sold. He still was able to bring income in and support his family even after he was gone. And that is phenomenal.
That's the true third act, if you will.
Yes.
Be able to provide for your family. And you're resonating so much with me because for those who don't know, I pivoted earlier this year and I started building my email list. That's why I said you're my brother from another mother. You're a few miles ahead of me, but I got my running shoes on, Steve.
You'll catch me, I'm sure. I've got no doubt. You're going to laugh me a few times.
You're so kind. Thank you. I'm a little competitive, so I might take you up on that. But anyway, what my point is, I am just like 6 to 12 months ahead of some of my own coaching clients. Like I do a list build course on how to build and monetize your email list. You build it once and it's there forever. So that's one of my passions. Can you speak to that? Because I know you have probably a massive list if you care to share how many, but how did you start with that? Because I'm so with you. I burnt out on one-on-one coaching within my first 3 months. And I said, okay, I can only handle, 3 people. Everything else has got to be scalable, courses and automation and evergreen. But how did you start from that realization of, you know what, one-on-one coaching is not as lucrative as one-to-many?
You absolutely need to build your list. I'm so glad you're doing it. And for everybody listening, okay, that's the important thing. Now, when I do consult and the brand of sales that I teach, I specialize in the follow-up. I call it flawless follow-up. That's what that FF is right there, flawless follow-up. All right. So that's what it's all about. And I'll let you, okay. Can I let people in a little secret, kind of pull back the curtain a little bit?
Absolutely.
All right. Because you're going to experience it starting today. All right. And you might as well do 2 things. You might as well experience it because you're going to have a great time, but you might as well kind of watch what's going on. But you will witness exactly the way that you could and should be doing this and what Lois is talking about. But, today you're being so kind. You're introducing me to a whole lot of people. They don't know who I am, Lois. They've never heard of me before, but hopefully they like the sound of my voice. Okay. Right. When I speak, you like the sound of my voice. When I tell a story, you like the way my story sounds. And maybe you have a chuckle. Maybe you say, hey, that's me. Hey, I've got passion, experience, and talent. Tell me more. That's the whole goal. Okay. My whole goal today is that you're introducing me to some wonderful people, and all you wonderful folks that are watching right now, I hope you're raising your hand and say, you know what? I like you, Steve. Tell me more. And so, of course, at the end of the program, I'm sure you're going to ask me, Steve, where can people find out more? Okay? And guess what? I'll have an answer for you, but I also want you to know something else. It's going to be the beginning of a journey, a literal journey. I have set up what I've called a treasure hunt. All right. And why? Because I do appreciate meeting people. And you know what? I do want you to want more. And I do want you to hear my stories. And I do want to entertain you. I want to educate you. I want to engage you. I call it the 3 E's, right? Entertain, educate, and engage. And that's what Flawless Follow-Up's all about. And so you do need to build your list, educate, entertain, and engage so that people love you. And that's been the secret of my success.
Awesome. That is so cool. And it's cool because Christopher Knight, I know he's still out there somewhere watching us today. He's the one who introduced us, and from across the miles. Yay, Christopher.
One of the best networkers I've ever met in my life. Great guy.
I know it's funny because we run in all these circles. Even when I met you, we ended up knowing like about, I don't know, five of the same people. Is just weird how the world becomes so small. When you're good at what you do, you end up finding each other. And that's what was really exciting, because even before Christopher introduced us over a Zoom like this, he sent me a landing page for your email campaign. I signed up for it like a good girl who's curious, right? I used to hate email lists and thinking like, oh no, don't add me to your list, Steve, because I don't want another spam. I don't want blah, 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 blah. I was really negative about all that. But now I love signing up for people's lists because it tells me a lot about them. And it told me exactly what you're talking about today. You're flawless in your follow-up. You give value. Because guys, there's no way. I used to be smile and dial Lois. I'd make 20 to 30 calls a day because I could, but dang, that's exhausting, right? And so what you're talking about is automation and getting people into your funnel, otherwise known as your tribe, right? Because Facebook and LinkedIn, they're not your CRM, right? You can get shut down in a minute, right? So I really am so excited that you practice what you preach and what you share. You're very, very real, very authentic. And it's a little early in the show because we're going to go for another 15 minutes roughly, but I did put your link, the zaplink.us/Lois, guys, is how, if you want to see what his list is all about, get ready for some good value and some good stuff. Can you tell us more about this treasure hunt that this link is leading to? Because I'm curious about that.
Well, I'm not going to divulge too many of the secrets, right? I mean, that's why you got to go on the treasure hunt. But I'll tell you this, okay? It lasts about 5 days, all right? And I developed this for my list, okay? I've got a good sized list, all right? And I've got actually many lists, and people follow me from all over the place. And I will let you in on a secret, all right? That of why I developed this. People on my list know this, but I'm sharing it with folks that are meeting me for the first time, so you know how I developed this and where it came from. Mm-hmm. I've got a great relationship with people, okay? I hate to call this a list, all right? You're all my friends. Really, right. You're my friends, okay? I engage with you. I share with you. You'll hear more about the story I got fired. You'll hear funny stories about my first sales call ever when I literally almost got stabbed by the guy that I was calling on, okay? You'll learn more about that kind of stuff. And it's a funny story, okay? It was only a flesh wound. No, I'm only kidding. But literally, I upset the guy so much that he almost came over the counter with a butcher knife at me. But anyways, so I love to tell that kind of stuff. It's fun, right? And you learn more about me. So I love to share these stories. I love to communicate a lot. All right, and no, I'm not pitching all the time, but yes, you'll have plenty of opportunity to buy when you become ready, willing, and able. Okay, so you don't have to worry about it being pitchy. But over this past summer, my father-in-law was ill. He was in hospice, and we lost him a few months ago. And over the summer, I got away from my daily communications with all my online friends, and so you do have to keep it up. All right, people get worried about emailing too much. It's quite the opposite, folks. If you don't email enough, you will get forgotten. You have to stay top of mind. If somebody thinks you're emailing them too much or they don't think you're delivering value, guess what they'll do? They'll opt out. And it even happens to me. It happens to every email marketer in the world. Okay. But you can't send an email without getting an opt out. You just can't. All right. But the reality is tens of thousands of people, they do want to hear from you. So a couple say, Steve, I don't need this anymore. That's okay, because tens of thousands of people, they want to hear from me. But I spent more time with family. I spent more time with my ailing father-in-law. I spent more time with my wife, who was losing her dad, and all that over the summer. It was the first time in years that I really got away from some of this daily communication, and I felt like I needed to really do something. After he passed, and after I needed to get back into it, I really needed something that said, I'm back. It started with, I'm sorry. All right. You won't hear that part of it. But when I sent this out to my list, I said, I'm sorry. I've been absent. You've been relying on me. You've been wanting to hear from me. You've missed me. All right. And that was the story of the original treasure hunt. Mm. But so I needed to win them back, and I really wanted to entertain. I really wanted to educate. I really wanted to engage. I really just wanted to give so much value that I just, the point of the treasure hunt is literally that, okay? You will go places to find treasure. You might go sign up for my Facebook group, because when you do, I'm going to give you something. I might give you a link to watch a video, because when you do, I'm going to give you something. And the more you read and the more you get engaged and the more you follow my instructions, the more value you'll get. And literally, there's hundreds, if not thousands of dollars worth of stuff that I give away during these 5 days.
That's powerful. Well, first, sorry for your loss. I have, as you know, and I saw your kind email to your list talking about this has been a transformational year for me. I lost my brother suddenly, my mom, a brother-in-law, 2 friends committed suicide, like all in and I just lost another friend to cancer. So it's like there's all these things, life and death happening around us, the election, we won't even go there, but a lot of things that can take us out of our game. And that's part of why I called this Healthy and Wealthy and Wise, because I started this after my mom died and my brother had already died before her. It was like, oh my God, life is so short and so precious. All of my friends that died, with the exception of my mom, who was 80, and I don't know about your father-in-law, but still 80 seems young to me, because I want to go to 125. I don't know about you, but did they live their life fully? Did they leave a legacy? And unfortunately, I would have to say I don't know that any of them would say that they did, right? Because they didn't have what you and I are talking about is what is going to last longer than you. Well, it's your memory, it's your legacy, it's even your email list. I still get emails from Jim Rohn, and how long has he been gone, right? Their voice lives on. This podcast will live on. So asking the audience, what are you guys creating right now that can go past you and live your life to the fullest as long as you possibly can, healthy and wealthy and wise. So I love talking to people like you, Steve, because you get it and you have so much value to share.
Thank you, Lois. Thank you. And yes, what a rough year you've had, or two. And by the way, and let's lighten it up a little bit, okay? The beautiful part about it is you could do this while you're having fun. Have you seen this family? I think they call them Cult Somebody and the Quarantine Kids. They do music on YouTube, and they're on the Ellen Show. Oh my goodness. Okay, so pivot time. Okay, this guy lives in Tampa. He's a musician with a young family, beautiful kids, two sons and a daughter, and he's a musician. And the lockdown comes, and he makes money performing live. Well, guess what? You can't perform live anymore, right? So he decides to start playing music with his kids, and they start performing songs. They did this just to share it with the family. Well, all of a sudden it got around, and now there's literally millions of people watch every one of their songs. They were on Ellen's show. They're a worldwide phenomenon, and it is a perfect example. Okay, and of and he's making a living doing this. He's making a living with his passion, his experience, and his talent. What could be better? The guy is sitting at home making music with his kids. What could be better? And talk about a legacy. He's got, the family now has a whole library of these videos that will be here forever. What better way? And it's just, I could give you dozens of examples. That's what it's all about.
No, I love it. And I've seen a lot of great success stories with that. Do you have any other testimonials of your personal client stories that went from, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing, to, where, like, because you said the stories are what matters most to people. Anything else you care to share?
Absolutely. So, I've got, when you do this as long as I do, and you help as many people as I do, you get tons of testimonials. My favorite ones, a lot of people have made a lot of money, and I've got plenty of those. Believe me, this one guy, Jay, made $3 million for his client, and they paid him, I think, $24,000 for, a couple days worth of work. So I got plenty of those stories. But the ones that really resonate with me, one of them would be Jamie. By the way, so I think, I don't have his picture here. He sent me a beautiful cartoon he had done of me, where he calls me Grasshopper, and he's my student, in a dojo. It's really cool. But Jamie lives in New Zealand. When I first met Jamie, he lived in Australia. And Jamie was in his early to mid 40s at that time. And he's working retail in a music shop. And he said, Steve, I have got to stop doing this. I'm tired of being on my feet for 8 to 10 hours a day, making basically minimum wage, punching a clock, selling instruments in a music store. And so I helped him. Now, anyways, fast forward to today. The other thing was Jamie was in Australia and he fell in love with a woman in New Zealand. So not only did I teach Jamie how to go out and have his own second act success, he was able to leave Australia, go to New Zealand, get married, and he was in his mid to late 40s, start a family. He never had started a family, and he always wanted to. And he was able to because I taught him how to take his passion, his experience, and his talent, turn into a business. And his passion, his experience, and his talent was playing the ukulele. And he built a list for ukulele players. And then he took the money and bought a ukulele manufacturing company. So, I mean, this is just somebody that was able to take his passion, his experience, and his talent and literally recreate himself, even move to another country to marry the woman that he loved and start a family. And he had never been able to do this for 45 years. It was his dream to do it.
Amazing. That's the real stuff right there. That's where it's at. I love that. It's speaking not to all sorts of my favorite things. I would love to move to New Zealand, and that's actually on my list, right? I'm very clear about my vision. That's amazing.
So I have to tell you something. Then you need to meet my friend Naren, okay, who is my coaching student, because Naren moved from Tripoli to New Zealand. And guess what Naren is going to take his passion, his experience, and talent and help people do? Move to New Zealand. That's what.
Sign me up.
He said, there's so much you don't know. He says, oh my God. He said, the things that I wish I knew when I was bringing my family here.
Wow.
And he says, and lots of people want to come here, right? Lots of people want to come here, but they need to know what I had to figure out. And I'm speaking in Naren's voice right now.
Yeah.
So literally, this is one of my coaching students right now that I'm helping him take his passion, his experience, and talent for helping people to move to New Zealand.
Sign me up. That sounds perfect.
I will definitely introduce you.
And see, that's a cool thing.
He's going to be so excited. You're going to be his first client.
I love being a guinea pig. Bring it.
Beautiful.
That's awesome. Any other quick tips as we wrap it up here? Do you have any, when you talk about flawless follow-up, someone gets a list, then what? Do you have any nuggets that you want to share?
Well, okay, let me try to boil down the 12 years experience into the next 6 minutes. All right. I'll talk fast. Everybody write fast now. Yeah, here it is. Okay, listen carefully. This is the number one thing. Are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Be yourself. That's it. Don't try to be anybody else. That's what people want. People want you. And you know what? There's a lot of folks that follow me and they don't have the confidence, and it breaks my heart. I promise you. Yes, you know more than you think. Yes, people need your help. They want your help. You can help them. You're more of an expert than you think. You're more likable than you think. You're more beautiful than you think. Don't let confidence get in your way. Just don't. Okay? I mean, look at me. You know.
You're gorgeous. You know what? That's amazing, because I teach this inner circle class. It's a 30-day course on how to build your list, how to build out your first email campaigns, and how to monetize those. And I have had a couple students who are they're just like, I don't know if my first email is good enough, right?
In the way.
Right. Yeah. And so what you're saying is so true, because that was my, for me, I call that stinking thinking, where I was like, who's going to listen to me? Why? I even told you before we got on here, I manifested a thyroid disease in my throat because I was afraid to be myself and speak my truth and use my voice. And so by putting out that first email, I was like scared.
So you'll learn
beyond belief. I just got an idea. I can write another email.
Well, there's a story in that, right? There's a story in everything that we do. And I owe that to my friends, Robin Kennedy. Wonderful, wonderful people. And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to promote Robin Kennedy on your podcast, but I will say this. When you sign up for the treasure hunt today, the first thing you will get is you're going to see another interview of me with Rob and Kennedy. They are phenomenal. They are hysterical. All right. And one of the things they talk about is building a story vault, because every day we have experiences, and every one of them, if you sit down at the end of the day, I promise you this, and you say, what happened to me today that people would want to know about? And what is a learning experience from that? I promise you, every single day. I could write an entertaining story about taking out the garbage. All right, I could. And you can too. And you can make it entertaining, and you could tie it into a lesson, a lifelong lesson about whatever your subject is. And I can promise you that. So I'll say this, going back to our Be Yourself. I sign a lot of my emails with this. It says, take imperfect action. Okay? Because imperfect action beats perfect inaction every single time. And I have had more success and found that security and made more money and made my family happy by accident because I took action. Whereas if I sit on the couch and wait for everything to be perfect, it ain't going to happen.
Man, no, that's so true. I'm so glad you shared that, because even someone of your success level, to just come back to that fundamental of don't overthink it, analysis paralysis. Like, I've even done Facebook Lives. Before I got into writing, I was like, I'll just talk it out. And you could even go to Fiverr.com, have someone transcribe your Facebook Live and turn that into an email, have a, for a very affordable cost if someone's just getting started, right? Steve, you don't have to spend a lot of money to do this stuff.
No. I mean, think about that. You talk about, and I said this, the barriers are down. We are so blessed to be living like the time that we do, because we can go into business with literally no overhead. And the other thing is, we get paid first. All right. Because when we build a product, we get paid and we take in the money. Where else can you do that? Whereas if you wanted to start a business, let's say you wanted to open a McDonald's, you don't get paid first. You got to pay McDonald's a couple $1 million first, right? And every month you got to pay them first. You got to pay the landlord first. You got to pay your employees first. You got to buy the equipment first. You got to buy the ingredients first. There's no other business in the world like ours that we could start and have second act success, even if we started with a side hustle and we get paid first. It doesn't exist. This is the perfect business.
I love it. Well, I know we're going to have you back on my show again. I know, just so you guys know, save the date. Steve and I are going to be doing a webinar on December 9th. We'll be getting our landing pages crafted and created, so you'll hear more. If you want to meet Steve personally, this is what I love about my podcast show. I do invite all of my guest speakers and guests from these shows to come inside. So please, if you haven't already joined, go to Facebook, Healthy and Wealthy and Wise Facebook community. I'll make sure that's also in the show notes, as always. And if you really enjoyed this show, as we're wrapping it up here, I just got one more question for Steve and want to make sure you guys know where to get his free gift. Please hit the share button if you're watching this later, or the replay, or if you're still here live. Thank you. Hit share, because this is a valuable, actually invaluable message that we want as many eyeballs and ears to hear, to give hope, inspiration, to increase people's bottom line and help them in their healthy and wealthy and wise journey. So again, we already talked about this earlier, but just want to remind you, go to zaplink.us/Lois to get in touch with Steve's email campaign. And so you can study and see what he has done so well that I have now enjoyed seeing his name in my inbox almost every single day. And if you have any questions or feedback about my show, I do have a texting phone number. If you ever want another topic specific or any thoughts or feedback on today's, please go ahead and text questions or comments to 612-799-8791. And Steve, I can't thank you enough for being here today, for joining us and giving us your wisdom. I know 12 years and then some, right? This isn't really enough time. So that's why I invite you guys to get into his email campaign and learn more about him and join us on December 9th. But I want to close out with a question that I ask of all of my guests, and we may have touched on it in a couple of different aspects of your topic today. But when you hear the phrase healthy and wealthy and wise, Steve, what does that mean for you?
Well, healthy, wealthy, and wise to me, and I learned this too late, but is to enjoy the time that you have with your family, with your loved ones, with your friends, and doing the things that you want to do. I can't stress that enough. I was miserable working at JOB for so long. I didn't see my kids grow up because I was on an airplane every single week. And you know what? Just yes, we did touch on it because we've all of us, okay, you, me, and everybody watching, we've all been there. We've seen tragic losses that come way too soon. So make the most of it. And it's such a cliche, but it's also so true. So this is why second act success is so important for me, because I want you to have more security. I want you to have more time with your loved ones. I want you to be able to do what you love, and I want you to help people literally all around the world. It's amazing times that we live in. So thanks for putting a show like this together, because Lois, it is truly probably the most important thing that we have.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for that. Thank you again, guys. Please watch this at least once, maybe twice. Share the YouTube video as you find that in my YouTube channel. Please subscribe there for all past, current, and future guests. And next Friday, we're going to have Karen Masolia, a good friend of mine. She's the owner of U.S. Health Coaches. We're going to really focus on your health as we're heading into the holiday season, also known as the gain 12 to 15 pounds between Halloween and Valentine's Day season. And we really want you to be mindful of that, because as salespeople and entrepreneurs, and you just said it, Steve, it's so important to be mindful, not just about your daily business activities, also your daily health choices, food, water, and all of the above. So I also have a special event next week, Wednesday, November 11th. I want to make sure I mention that. I'll put that in the show notes as well. I have a free webinar on how to network in the new normal with best-selling author Travis Sims to help you and guide you in figuring out how to navigate this thing called Facebook, LinkedIn, and connect authentically. So thanks again, Steve. Have an amazing day, guys. And until next time, here's to your best health, your best wealth, and your best wisdom. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. And Lois, thank you for having me as a guest. I've enjoyed it so much.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, refer a friend, and please drop me a rating or a review. If you do that, I'll reward you with a free 20-minute free coaching session on crafting your journey to your best self. Reach out to me at lois@loiscoffee.com to claim your 20-minute slot. Until next time, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.